Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you are brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And get ready, it's a long one. I have had 2 long speed builds in a row now, and that is honestly a record for me. Usually my builds are like, I don't know, 10 to 15 minutes, maybe 20 if we're really trying to push it. But my speed build on Wednesday and then this one today on Friday are at least like a half hour, I think. I don't even know at this point. Honestly, I've been spending so much time doing voiceovers and building that I've just lost track of all time. But I'm so excited that you guys decided to join me here today for this speed build because this is a build that I am exceptionally proud of, and I can't really articulate why other than the fact that it's just such a huge lot. Like, this is probably one of the biggest lots I've worked on thus far. If you guys have been around the channel for a little while now, you'll probably know that I haven't done too many builds that are really big. I don't know how to design bigger homes. I don't really know how to design community lots for the life of me, but that's what we're doing today. We are designing a big community lot, and I think it came out really, really cool. So I can't wait to hear what you guys think of this. At the time of this voiceover, I don't even know what I'm calling this yet because this lot is a little multifaceted. So there are a few different things that you can do on this lot. There is a bowling alley and it's mainly a retail space. So the thought behind this, bear with me, it's story time. So it was probably about, I don't know, maybe a year ago, maybe like half a year ago, I printed out all of the maps of all of the worlds at the time. Like, we didn't have Evergreen Harbor yet or anything, which I haven't even planned out for my save, for the love of God. Yeah, I basically printed out all of the maps for all of the worlds and I planned out every single lot. I wanted there to be a balance of residential lots as well as different kinds of community lots to really make the worlds fun to play in. Like, I didn't want people to feel as though they had to go to another world to do certain things, so I tried to diversify the lots a bit. And for Oasis Springs, I was originally thinking, wouldn't it be super cute if there was a retail space where you could just buy cacti? I don't know why I thought that was so cute, and honestly, now that I say that out loud, it sounds super boring, but I thought it was kind of a neat idea. Like, it would be a little like cactus nursery type thing, and you could go and buy different kinds of cacti and stuff like that. And in other worlds, I was thinking maybe I'll build like a flower shop. So I don't know, I was thinking that, and then I was also thinking I wanted there to be a bowling alley, but what I ended up doing is building I think a residential home or something like that on the lot that I had intended for the bowling alley because it was just like a spark of inspiration. And then I was like, well, where am I going to put the frickin' bowling alley? Like, I have no idea. And I also wanted there to be like a space where your Sims could actually have parties and like do something fun and play games. So I kind of just pushed all of these ideas together and I ended up creating this. And this is basically a bowling alley and retail space mainly. So that's how the idea kind of came to be. And the shape of it, I just beg of you not to make fun of me. I don't even know what this shape is. I really truly don't. I knew I wanted it to be kind of like this bigger complex in a way. I was thinking even like a strip mall. However, I don't know, it just wouldn't really work. The lot almost wasn't long enough for me to do a strip mall, and for me that was going to result in it just being a giant rectangle, and I wanted it to be a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more dynamic of a build than it just being a rectangle. So I just created a ton of boxes and started playing around with things, and I ended up with this shape. So hopefully it's appeasing. I don't even know. I'm actually super nervous about this one. I'm really proud, but I'm a little nervous about it because it's just so odd. Like, the shape is really, really weird. But as you can see, it is kind of coming together at this point. So there are 2 entrances to this build, and that's it. I wanted it to be like really simple and straightforward in that way. So there's an entrance near the front where I placed like all of those different cacti up on the 2nd level roof, I guess we can call it. And then the other entrance back there is for the bowling alley. And The second level and the third level are completely empty, so it's a lot of unused space. So if you guys wanted to get creative, you could absolutely create more shops and more things to do on those levels. Like maybe you could add a gym, maybe you could add like a movie theater. I don't even know. There's so many things that you could probably play around with. And I might even entertain playing around with some of those ideas as well when I actually release the next version of my save file. Because as I have failed to mention up to this point, this is for my save file. So I was really excited about it because that leaves, I think, 5 or 6 lots left in Oasis Springs, and this was one of the really big intimidating ones, so I'm stoked to have it out of the way. But yeah, I don't know, there's a lot of versatility with this lot. I think I left a lot of space for others' creativity, and I might entertain that as well, like I said. So as you can see, I'm trying to sort out a shape for the second level right now, or the third level I should say, and it was really hard. It was honestly really challenging. I wanted to use the roof, that kind of like the terracotta roof, I think is what it's called. Oh, I could be wrong. I don't even know. But I wanted to kind of use that because I wanted it to still blend in with the world. Hence why I used those. They're not wall decorations. They're building decorations. I don't even know. The little overhangs there. And I used those windows that were base game as well because I thought it really blended in with the world. This could also be something that could look maybe fairly decent in Del Sol Valley, like Southern California vibe. But I was really getting the Oasis Springs vibe from it, so that's how it ended up here. But I ended up just kind of coming up with like a square and rectangular shape for that third story, and I thought it looked okay. I'm always a little uneasy with flat roofs. I don't really know why. I think it's because they're not very dynamic, so I did add that fence to kind of frame the roofs and make them, I don't know, dressed up a little tiny bit more. And I end up adding some roof decorations as well, like some vents and stuff like that you would see probably on the roofs of some more so industrial, commercial buildings, if we can say that. And here I am just trying to sort out all of the window placements because I did have a floor plan kind of in mind already. And I think I show the floor plan on camera, but I worked it out off camera prior to filming it because it was just such an odd shape and I didn't really know what shape it was going to take. And with the bowling lanes, y'all know how big everything in The Sims is. The bowling lanes are freaking huge. So I had to make sure that those could even fit before I worked out the rest of the floor plan. So if it seems like the floor plan came together fast, just know it didn't, and I really suffered through it. So here I am adding some roof decorations. I also end up tossing a billboard on the roof. I thought it added a little bit more character to the build itself, and I thought it was realistic to find on something of this size, of this magnitude, and really kind of the purpose that this lot serves. I felt that it was appropriate. I even put some billboards on the back part of the build. Actually, it's not really the back technically with the way that the gallery chooses to take screenshots, but it's kind of the back, the part of the build that's facing the Dash and Go diner, which is actually next door. That part right there with the brick. That's where the billboards go. And I added a couple of gardening beds all around this build as well. I was trying to kind of keep things symmetrical. It was hard just because it ended up taking a shape that I didn't really plan, but it ended up being somewhat symmetrical, and I wanted there to be a lot of greenery, at least as much as there possibly could be for a build in the desert like this. And I don't know, I'm really proud of it. Gosh, watching this back, I actually really like this. It was really fun to play in, if you guys are wondering. I did playtest this thoroughly because I wanted to make sure everything worked. The worst thing in the world is when you download a build from the gallery and it just doesn't work. And I've tried to get a lot better at playtesting builds before I upload them to the gallery because I hate it when that happens to me. So I'm assuming it's a little frustrating for you guys too if you really like a build that I post and it doesn't work. Like I think the Squeeze the Day juice bar, shout out to Hey Harry, because that sweet angel, she let me know as to why that build didn't really work, because I was trying to have my Sims, if you guys didn't watch this, I was trying to have my Sims buy juice. It was like a juice bar when Eco Lifestyle came out, and they couldn't reach all of the different boxes and containers of juice on the shelving units that I put in there, and I was baffled. Like, I did not understand why, and that sweet angel was just like, it's because you use move objects on. And duh, right? Like, I had no idea. I had no idea that that would cause a problem. So when I do go into the retail space, I make sure that there are some objects that are really for show that I used with move objects on, and then I made sure that there were some that were just plain old accessible because I wanted it to be functional. But as you can see, I am working out the landscaping and adding some street lights as well, because I felt as though something like this, where it is more of a strip mall, I suppose, that there would be all these different street lights and whatnot. And you know what was also so frustrating is that freaking traffic light that's basically right in the center of the build when I tried to take screenshots. So hard to work with. I was going to use the tool mod to try to get rid of it, but I don't know how to, and I don't know if that's possible with the tool mod. So if y'all have any tool mod tips, that would be fantastic. And here I am taking some of these string lights and creating just this little walkway. It's somewhat similar to a walkway that I created for the Desert Bloom Park, which is basically the park in Oasis Springs that I redid. I did it probably a couple months ago at this point on the channel, and it's also part of my save file. And this was somewhat inspired by the San Antonio River Walk, and that's the one in the park too. That was actually a little inspired by that. So if you guys haven't been there, it's really, really pretty and it's really, really nice. I actually lived in Texas for a short spell, and visiting San Antonio, even though I only did it, I think once or twice. Yeah, I think once or twice. I went to the Riverwalk and it was really, really pretty. I really enjoyed it. That was actually probably my favorite part of San Antonio. I'm not a huge city dweller, so I wasn't too keen on being in that big of a city anyway, but it was really nice. And here I'm placing some benches and just some outside garbage cans, so there's a nice little place to kind of walk from the front to the back, because in the back I end up placing a faux parking lot. We all know we don't have cars, so they're basically like the debug cars. And I use a low-lying fence to kind of create the different parking spaces. I even go into the debug menu and I use some of the little parking meters that we have. I don't even remember what pack they came with. It may be a base game debug menu item, because I don't remember there being an icon, and you might be able to catch it in this footage here when I do pull them out, though I think it's a little bit later in the build that I end up finding them and using them in that way. But I did really like that, I don't know, added sense of realism to it, because there is even a parking lot behind the Dash and Go Diner, the lot next door, that I didn't create. It's just part of the world. So I thought it kind of blended in a little bit, at least with another lot having it. You can kind of catch it. Yeah, right there, like on the right hand side. It's over there. I wish I could have placed cars there, because that would have been really cool. Again, I might have to try to play around with the tool mod more, because you should be able to do that, right? Like a world editor type thing. I don't know. I have to learn more about it. This is my first time using the tool mod. In general, I don't even use it in this build, but I'm trying to play around with it a little bit more, and I'm trying to learn how to use it, and it can do so many cool things. So if you guys haven't checked that out either, it's by Twisted Mexi, and he's amazing. And now we're finally on to the interior, and as I suspected, the floor planning is not filmed, so I do apologize, but I really wanted to ensure that those bowling alleys would fit before I finish the rest of the build. And I did use kind of these more so Mediterranean inspired archways, even though the theme of the build inside is not that. I thought it would speak to the fact that this belongs in this world. It could look a little out of place, so you guys will have to let me know what you think. But this first space is the retail space, and I am so pleased with how it came out. My first idea was maybe do like a bookstore, then it was, yeah, definitely having like the cacti and stuff like that, so maybe a little bit of a, not a greenhouse, but maybe a little bit of a nursery. And then I thought, well, you know what else do people want to buy? What else would be kind of fun? Let's do a music store. I know I'm definitely not the first one to do a music store, but this was super fun to me because I used to spend a lot of time in Guitar Center and Daddy's Junkie Music. If you guys have not heard of those stores, I think Daddy's Junkie Music is actually out of business at this point. It was years and years ago, but I really enjoyed that store. And Guitar Center is, I don't know if that's international or not. I feel like it probably is, but I spent a lot of time there because my mom can play like multiple different instruments, and when I was 11, she got me a guitar and she was like, you can take guitar lessons. And I was so excited. And then I didn't follow through because I hated practicing. I didn't want to practice for the life of me. It was hard work. I was not a very hard worker as a kid. I'm going to be real right now. But that actually sparked my mom learning how to play guitar. She taught herself. She's been playing ever since. So to give you context, oh my God, how old am I? 28. I'm 28. Or 27. Oh my God, I don't know how old I am. I think I'm 28. And so my mom's been playing for what, 17 years now? Yeah, she's been playing for 17 years. She can already play piano. She may not have played in a while now, but she can play piano. She can play harmonica. She can play guitar. She can play guitar and harmonica at the same time with that little like piece of headgear and whatnot. She can play bass, which I kind of picked up a little tiny bit when she was picking it up. I can play like 2 songs on a bass. And what else can she play? I don't know. She can play a lot. So she's been playing guitar forever, and we used to go to Guitar Center a lot. And I remember loving going there because I loved seeing all of the beautiful craftsmanship of these guitars. And one of my favorite aspects of going to Guitar Center was the acoustic room, I think is what it was called. And essentially this was kind of like a soundproof room, and it was supposed to be quiet, so you're not supposed to go in there and like chatter. You're supposed to go in there, take maybe an acoustic guitar or a guitar that you really like, and kind of go fiddle around with it on an amp system or completely acoustic, like you know, without an amp. And I loved going in there because I can still play one song on the guitar to date, and it's my favorite song probably ever. And I don't want you guys to make fun of me, but you can if you want. My favorite band, and this is something that I typically keep a secret because I have been made fun of for years, but I love them. My favorite band is Hanson. If you guys don't know Hanson, you probably know the song Mbop that came out in 1997. Very, very easy to play. Very, very good song. I'm just gonna put it out there. And I absolutely love them to this day. They still tour, make albums. I adore them. I think they're wonderful people, and I absolutely love their music. So I can still play Mbop. And I used to go into that little acoustic room, and I would just play that song over and over again. People probably hated me, but I loved it. And this is the acoustic room that I'm working on now. So I used kind of like the soundboard wallpaper texture that we got with Get Famous, and I was kind of going off of what the acoustic rooms would look like in Guitar Center. So they kind of had either chairs or couches basically around the entire, I don't know, circumference. That's not the word. Basically around all of the walls. And you could just sit and fiddle and toy around with the guitars and see if you liked the feel of them. See if it was something that you really enjoyed, or just kind of play something that you know you would never be able to buy. That was kind of fun. So I made this, and granted your Sims can't sit and play guitar, which I really, really wish that they could. I wish they could just like plop it on their knee and fiddle around with it, but they can't. And I placed a bunch of guitars on display, and you probably saw me a little earlier too, and I'm doing it here, is I raised a few guitars up to make it look like they were hanging on the wall, because if you've gone into any of those music stores, there's just rows and rows all the way up to the ceiling of guitars hung on the wall. The way they get them down from those higher areas scares the absolute crap out of me. I always think they're going to drop them. They never have. But yeah, I really liked that idea. It's a little odd because the stands are obviously there. Like I couldn't remove the stands from the guitars being hung on the wall, but I still think it looked okay. And now I'm creating the desk where you would go ahead and actually quote unquote check out, though I've been playing around with retail lots more and more, and you don't actually ring up customers at the cash register. You do it wherever they're standing near whatever item they're about to buy. So it's a little odd. It's honestly just for show, but you do need a cash register on a retail lot. So I had to put it there for the sake of realism. And there were some guitars that were on the floor kind of leading towards the archways to where I end up placing all of the plants for sale as well, if you guys didn't notice. So those are the ones that your Sims can definitively reach. I did go ahead and set all of the guitars that were on these displays for sale, though I didn't have anyone that wanted to buy those, so I wasn't really able to test it fully. But like the stereo systems, the keyboard is for sale, and then I end up actually getting rid of the seating area, and I was gonna add a karaoke machine, and then I was like, oh, for the love of God, I don't want Sims going in there just doing karaoke. So I do a busking station, and I add like some studio lights, and I make all of those for sale as well. So it's kind of like a place where you could get not only your instruments, but you could also get some stuff for maybe like a home studio, which is exactly what Guitar Center is. And through those archways, like I mentioned, is where all of the plants are going to be. And I think I actually saved that for last. I can't really recall. I also add a couple of violins, which I set for sale as well. However, I think since they are placed with move objects that you probably won't be able to buy those. So I do apologize. I actually didn't set any on the floor for sale, which I probably should have done as well because I did do it with the guitars. But yeah, that's kind of the music store. I wanted it to look a little industrial. However, I couldn't think of any other like wallpaper that would kind of match that aesthetic. I just came up with brick. And if you guys have any recommendations like off the top of your head, just let me know. I also added a few book displays, and those are like photography displays, so maybe people can grab those if they want to be like a music photographer. I don't really know. And then I just add a small seating area and a community board just so your Sims have somewhere to kind of sit and hang out inside, because there really isn't that much seating on the interior of the build, at least on this side. And then I move on to the bowling alley, which I've made a bowling alley before. It was one in Windenburg, and essentially I used all of the bowling night stuff. Like, that's pretty much what I used. I didn't go with any other like theme. I feel like they nailed it with that stuff. It's kind of like mid-century and like really colorful and bright and fun. And there's only 2 bowling lanes. That seemed sufficient to me. Honestly, if I did more, it would take up so much space. But I made a little seating area over to the right, and here I made an arcade. I was really excited about that because it added a little bit more functionality to the build. So it wasn't just a bowling alley or a retail space, but you could also come here and just play some arcade games, some foosball. You could play darts. You could actually play pong as well. I mean, I don't know if you'd go and just start playing beer pong there, but you could definitely just play like table tennis, right? That's what it's called, table tennis. Actually, what do you guys call it? Do you call it ping pong or do you call it table tennis? I call it ping pong more often than not, but some reason table tennis came into my head. I also add a couple of bar tables there just so your Sims have a few places to sit, and I'm just adding some wall decorations and trying to figure out where I want everything to be. I don't like leaving empty wall space, but I do leave a hunk of empty wall space over there near the bowling lanes as well. And then I added the little ball racks over here. And there's a small seating area as well as a trophy case. And I ended up actually getting rid of some of the carpeting and putting some hardwood floor in some areas because I wanted to use the bowling night rugs that we got. They were obviously perfect for a bowling alley, so I wanted to make sure that I used them. And I thought that I think this is base game. The base game wood paneling, or the wood floors that I end up putting here, are just so vibrant, and I thought it fit perfectly. And I add a couple of armchairs and just a little console / coffee table here with nothing on it. Actually, the more I think about it, I also added these wall dividers because on the other side is where like the shoe racks are, as well as the, you know, quote unquote front desk that we can't really use. There's no functionality. And I placed a couple of armchairs there as well, just to kind of have the makeshift look of it. Like, here's where you would go ahead and pay for however many strings of bowling you'd like to go forth and play, and also where you could rent your shoes, which obviously your Sims will just go ahead and walk towards a lane and they will just put bowling shoes on the second they step onto it. So there's nothing you really have to do there for the bowling functionality. But I do add another cash register as well, which, like I said, you only need one for a retail lot, so this one's really just for show. And I actually take that clock that I put above the shoe racks and I place it in front of this desk just to kind of give it a little bit of pop, a little bit more character, because this desk is just plain white and kind of boring. And then I just add some curtains to the windows back here as well. And I use a couple of pendants, though they are from Discovery University. I thought that they kind of fit the vibe for the bowling alley. I don't know. And then I add those armchairs that I mentioned earlier, just so there's a few more places to sit. And that room back there is actually a little function room. It's very small and there's only 4 seats at the table I end up placing there. But I was thinking that if you wanted your kids to like have a birthday party or something, they could go ahead and come here and they could all play arcade games and bowl and have a blast. Though there's no oven or stove or anything, so if you were thinking of like a birthday cake, you'd probably have to have one in your inventory or your Sims inventory and bring it with you to this location if that's how you kind of wanted to use it. I wanted to make sure I mentioned that because I was thinking about it. I'm like, wait, they can't really do that if they don't have a cake, but Your Sims will just have to bring one. And here I made this entire section wood floor and added just a couple of fun rugs to bring a little bit of pop to the build itself. And now I'm working on that little room. I add this banner here. I think I end up actually sizing it back down and changing out the door as well, just because it was a little big and I thought it would kind of block your Sims from being able to enter. So I add that here, and at least the frame is a little bit orange, so it kind of sort of matches. And then I use this table that we got, which is technically an outdoor table from a couple of patches ago with the little plumb bobs on it. Typically, I don't like using too many things that kind of break that fourth wall. I think that's what it's called. I think that's what I'm trying to say. So like putting plumb bobs in the Sims like that makes me feel like the Sims are gonna realize that it's a game. Sounds crazy, but it makes me uncomfortable. So typically I don't put plumb bobs in my builds. I might use like the painting that has the plumb bob as well, just because I don't know, it's kind of cute. But yeah, I don't typically like putting plumb bobs into my game. Fun fact. And then I add a couple of wall speakers just to kind of jazz things up a little bit, add a little bit more character to the build. And then I work on the bathroom in the bowling alley. It is only a single bathroom. In total, I think there are 3 bathrooms in this build, so at least there are a couple of places where your Sims could go ahead and do their business. But I was originally going to have this one be like a 2-stall, but I really couldn't fit it since I wanted 2 arcade consoles, I suppose, 2 arcade game station things. So this ends up just being a big commercial bathroom, but I do really like it. It's really colorful and really fits in with the bowling alley. And then I move over to the little retail space that ends up being for like all the plants. So I use this wallpaper that we have with base game, and I added a couple of like bookshelf displays. I was thinking that it would be a place for Sims to maybe buy books and plants, because that just sounds like it's right up my alley, but I think I end up adding a couple of small display bookcases so your Sims maybe can just sit here and read. Maybe they came with a partner or like their kids or something, and like their kids are browsing for an instrument, or their spouse is browsing for an instrument and they have no interest, so they come over here and just kind of read amongst all the plants, which sounds lovely to me. But I tried to use as many plants as humanly possible, as many different plants, and I didn't place any of them with move objects. I either picked plants that clipped and actually like sat on certain slots on those shelves, as well as on that display case. Like this display case here, I only used plants that would actually sit on those individual spaces. I didn't use any move objects because I wanted to make sure that every single one of them could be set for sale and reached by your Sims, so they had no trouble accessing any of these. And yeah, I just really like how it came out. It's really, really cozy. I think if you had a room full of plants, you'd probably want more sunlight and more windows in here, but I didn't think about it too much. I also made a little seating area, like I mentioned, just in case your Sims kind of want to relax while their significant others or their family members or friends are shopping around. They could sit here and maybe read a book or just kind of hang out and enjoy all the plants, especially if they are, what, a green fiend? I feel like they'd love all these plants. I don't know if it would actually have any effect on them, but that's my thought. And once I finish placing all of these plants around everywhere, I just work on the bathrooms, because as you can see, there are 2 bathroom stalls over there as well to the left-hand side. And the bathrooms are honestly pretty boring. There's nothing special about them. I didn't really decorate the bathrooms at all, actually. I don't know why. I just didn't feel as though they needed much decoration. And yeah, that's like pretty much the whole build. I'm really excited to hear what you guys think of this one because, like I said, I'm really proud of it. I think it's really cool. It's super functional, but it's kind of a weird combination of things to be in one space, right? It's a little odd, but I cannot wait to hear your guys' thoughts on this one, and I will catch you guys next time I post a video, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!
They were in high school when they met, and things got kinda awkward. With sparks in the air, he would stare at her in class, and she would try to act cool. But it was obvious, like, ooh. would be together. Ooh. And one day she said, write me a love song, 'cause I know you'll make it beautiful. And maybe I'll call you my sweetheart, and promise nobody can steal me away. Then I am yours, 'cause I want you and I wanted you to know. He looked at her and then he smiled, picked up a pen and paper, and started writing. Probably something about her eyes and how they're always shining, or something cliche like ooh. Baby, I only want you. It's true. And then he said, I wrote you a love song, and I tried to make it beautiful. It's a song about your sweet, sweetheart, and how nobody can steal me away. Yeah, I am yours, 'cause I want you and I wanted you to know. As he sang, she started to dance, grabbed his arm and took his hand. He held her close under the moonlight as they kept on dancing. They were in high school when they met, and things got kinda awkward. With sparks in the air, he would stare at her in class, and she would try to act